so then you end up leaving the band, and then you're Godley and Creme, the group. How does it then become we're now directing music videos? Who was the first person that hired you to do that?
Oh, that didn't happen for ages. I mean, we went through the whole consequences. That I think that was between 14 and 18 months worth of studio time, and we emerged like a Japanese soldier coming out of the forest at the end of the Second World War, not knowing what the fuck was going on. Punk had come out of nowhere. A new wave was there. We hadn't been listening. We were still making sort of music that belonged on Indian carpets, and was so. It was our version of oh, what was that film? A Western film that came out. It was a great film, but it was a complete flop because the timing was so wrong. I can't remember. It'll come to me at some point. But we were in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's what happened. We made a piece of work that we thought was very interesting and different, but the record company, to get their investment back, overpriced it. It became sort of iconic, packaged, very expensive triple album, sold for the ridiculous price of something like £12, which was insane. And they held an enormous party to launch it in Amsterdam. And it was hubris. The whole thing was hubris, and it was overblown and totally invalid for the point in time that we were at.
Hmm.
We were still selling something that was precious and wonderful and a work of art when music had hit the streets again. We were in the wrong place at the wrong time, as I said before, and it bombed. That was pretty traumatic. Meanwhile, Eric and Graham were carrying on as 10cc and doing rather well. So we still had a record contract, and we went back to basics. We started recording music again on 16-track studio, costing not a great deal of money. And we were doing quite well. But at some point in that period of time, some short piece of the music from Consequences was picked up for a cinema commercial for Benson and Hedges cigarettes and used as a piece of sound for an existing film, which was great. And the film was great, made by Hugh Hudson, directed by Hugh Hudson, who shot Chariots of Fire. And we were then being sort of introduced to a new way of music and pictures working together. Not that there was anything called a music video back then, but it was the combination of those two elements sort of ticked a few boxes up here. And then not too long after that, we recorded a track called An Englishman in New York, not the Sting song, our own version. And we weren't a touring band, so we didn't really know how to promote it other than to make a little film for it, which we suggested to the label. And they said, yes, by all means, but you can't direct it because you haven't a clue how to direct anything, which was true. We really didn't. So we were teamed up with the director, and who shot An Englishman in New York, but we learned an incredible amount of what film was and how the pairing of sound and pictures was incredible. And in that one day of shooting, we made total nuisances of ourselves because we were suggesting things. Well, it's great, but can't we put the camera over there? And if I stood like this and you put the camera down there, and it would just leave it to me. But in all seriousness, we were treated very well, and we were allowed to learn from what was going on. And we were very heavily involved in the editing process. We had no idea that you could actually do what editing could do, because this was video editing, and there were all sorts of effects. that you could do, and we went crazy. What happens if you touch this button and pull this lever and do this? And we were on fire, and big light bulbs going on.
So it reignited.
And the finished thing is like a mess of effects all over the show. But
so,
people in the business kind of felt that we'd done it. It was directed officially by somebody else, but our dirty little fingers were all over it. And Steve Strange, who just signed a contract for Visage with Polydor, came to us because we knew Steve from the clubs around London at the time. We were living in London by now, and asked if we'd be interested in shooting his first video. That was our first gig. I think the budget was £5,000, half of which went to the makeup artist. The track was called Fade to Grey.
So you probably lost money on that one, right?
Well, we didn't make any. Let's put it that. I think but that was our first gig as directors, and the record was a hit.
It's amazing.
And it was like, and suddenly other people coming to us, asking us to do, we hooked up with Duran Duran and Graham Parker and numerous people. And we didn't understand why that was happening, but it became obvious after a while. Most of the people at that period of time that were directing videos came from television or advertising or features or documentary makers. None of them, not one person, came from music. So there's a sort of disconnect in consciousness between a musician trying to get an idea across and the person trying to deliver that idea. I think at the time, people enjoyed working with us because we were musicians. We understood the basic elements of what people were trying to do and trying to say, and we come up with ideas that were appropriate for us.